Okay, now let's move forward naman sa next topic, which is all about payback or payout period method. So, para ma-consider natin ang economic value ng isang project or proposal, it's not always limited to the MARR. So we can try using the payback or the payout period. But remember, whenever you're dealing with the evaluation of the economic value of a certain business or proposal, you have to make sure that you couple this payback or payout period with the recently discussed MARR. Ba't ganon? Kasi itong payback or payout period, it just measures more on the liquidity of your project and or the riskiness of your project rather than the profitability, which is basically what the MARR measures. So, mas maganda lagi na if you have the payback or the payout period, you couple it with let's say for example your IRR. So that's always the best method to describe the economic justifiability of your project or proposal. So ngayon, there are actually two kinds of payback or payout period. The first one is the simple payout period, and then the second one will be the discounted payout period or the payback period. Now, in this case, we'll only be considering the simple payout period para naman ma-lessen yung mga kailangang aralin, no? Now, the good thing about this simple payout period is just it is very simple, no? You're only considering yung amounts without the time value, money time value, no? Now, ang ibig sabihin nung wala tayong time value na kino-consider, for example, you're paying for annual, let's say may revenue ka 5,000. So, yung 5,000 na yon is, lagi lang siyang 5,000, no? Kahit pa magkaroon ng interest, so hindi natin siya i-consider, no? So, lagi siyang 5,000. So, yun yung kagandahan ng simple payout period kasi we're just considering yung mga cost natin without thinking about its future cost or the present value. So, parang mga ganun. Now, to make you understand this payback or payout period, try natin mag-solve. And this is just a very simple solving, no? Now, we have a public school. It's being renovated for $13.5 million. And then, the building has geothermal, paganda naman ito. Geothermal heating and cooling, high-efficiency windows, and a solar area that permits the school to sell electricity back to the local electric utility. So, sana all. Kat nga yung aircon sira. Joke. Now, anyway, the annual value of these benefits is estimated to be $2.7 million. In addition, the residual value of the school at the end of 40-year life is negligible. What is the simple payback period and internal rate of return for the renovated school? So, sabi natin, we don't consider yung time value ng ating money here. So, assuming na you have a benefit that's 2.7 million. So, technically, this is the parang profit, ganon. So, with this, di ba ang sabi natin yung ating payback period can be determined if you have R and then minus E and minus I equal to 0. So, we can go back here para ma-check natin yun, R minus E and then minus I. So, basically, summation yun. So, lahat yun, i-consider natin. But technically, you can just use R minus E minus I na lang. Now, meron tayong investment that is yung 13.5 million. Pero, actually, wala man tayong sinabing expenses. The thing is, meron tayong revenue. That's 2.7 million. So, from this point, we have 2.7 million. That's parang annual natin. So, that is multiplied by N and then minus 13.5 million equal to 0. So, therefore, from this, your N is actually equal to 5 years. Okay? So, divide lang. Tapos na tayo. So, this is your answer for the payback period, the simple payback period. Now, about for the second question. So, it says here that we need to find the IRR. So, again, yung ating IRR naman is, wala namang different formula, pero we have to make sure na we incorporate yung ating factor. Now, remember, for IRR, diba, we used to solve this by equating any future worth, present worth, or annual worth into 0. So, I'll be using annual worth equal to 0. And with this, we know that that is R minus E. So, parang kamukha lang to and then minus capital recovery. And basically, this is 2.7 million. So, by using the uniform annual series worth, so that is 2.7 million. And then, multiply by 1 minus 1 plus I. That's your internal rate of interest minus 40 and then I. So, basically, ito yung 40-year life niya. And then, is equal to 13.5 million. So with this, your I is equal to So you have to make sure na you use the present worth kasi we're considering 13.5 is just that the investment. So basically that's the present value, diba? So that's 0.19986 or basically 19.986 3%. Okay, so that is your IRR. Now, the only different thing about this using the discounted is that instead of us having yung atin, di ba, usually since this is the factor natin na consider sa annual, parang annual revenue natin. So instead of using the uniform series worth factor, we're actually using yung mga compound factor natin just to make this parang discounted na. So instead na we use this factor, we used 1 plus I raised to, let's say, negative negative n. So ganun siya ginagamit, no? That means na you'll be able to compute for n, of course given yung I natin, depende kung anong I natin, could be 20%, depende. So upon solving for that, then yun yung magiging ating discounted payout period. So yun yung atin for the discounted. Pero ngayon nga sabi ko, let's just stick with the simple payout period kasi hindi ko na siya idadagdag talaga dun sa ating parang additional na kailangan pang aralin. So for, ayan, meron dito sinabi na this variation of theta, that's yung n natin, of the simple payback period produces the break-even life of a project in view of the time value of money. So however, neither payback period calculation includes cash flow occurring after theta. This means that theta may not take into consideration the entire useful life of physical assets. Ang sinasabi kasi dito is that remember, kung mapapansin niyo yung ating sorry, pinapawisan ako, init kasi. Kung mapapansin niyo to kasi 40-year life to, pero yung ating payback period is 5 years. Parang hindi na na-account yung more than 5 years kasi nagkaroon na tayo ng payback dyan after 5 years. So basically, kung meron tayong payback, ibang computation na gagawin natin after 5 years, diba? So yun yung parang inaano lang dito natin. Now, number 2, a plasma arc furnace has an internal combustion temperature of 7,000 degrees Celsius and is being considered for the incineration of medical waste at local hospital. The initial investment is 300,000, so we could label this as I kasi yung initial investment natin. Okay? And then, annual revenues are expected to be 175,000 over the 6-year life of the furnace. Annual expenses 100,000 at the end of year 1, and it will increase by 5,000 each year thereafter. The resale value of the furnace after 6 years is 20,000. And what is the simple payback period of the furnace? Now, as you can see, if you're drawing the cash flow diagram, this is actually, itong expenses nila is a gradient type, diba? So, what I'll be doing is that I'll try to kunin ko muna yung R minus E using 100,000 and then let's just leave yung 5,000 mamaya for later. So, di ba ganyan yung ating formula natin? So, parang summation and then that is equal to 0. So, with this, we can say na yung ating R minus E would be 175,000 minus 100,000. So, that is true sa lahat from year 1 or year 0 to year 6, di ba? And they should be multiplied by the number of years. And then this is kasi annual payments, and so this is equal to your investment, that's 300,000. And again, hindi natin sinasama yung ating salvage value kasi we're considering na we can obtain yung ating payback period before the end of the study period, that is 6 years. So assuming na expect talaga natin na ma-obtain natin yung payback period. So hindi natin siya kailangang isama. Then again, if we're not able to determine yung let's say for example, nakuha natin is without adding yung ating salvage value is more than 6 years, then probably may mali sa computation or we could have just added yung ating salvage value. But for the first assumption, you would always consider na hindi siya isasama muna. Okay, so with that being said, yun lang yung atin kasi kung mapapansin din sa formula, wala ditong salvage value, di ba? I lang siya. Supposedly, this should have been the capital recovery based on annual worth method, di ba? Pero since wala nga, investment lang yung nagamit natin. Okay, and then it's not yet done to this kasi kung mapapansin nyo, meron tayong gradient portion dito and then meron tayong binabayad na 5,000 sa first year and then second year would be 10,000 and then probably 15,000. So, we need to take the average of those values kasi if we're dealing with the payout period and simple payout period, we don't look at the time value of a certain money, diba? And to do that, to be able to consider ating gradient here, we could just add them all. So basically, kung meron tayong cash flow diagram, and then alam naman natin na meron ditong first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, and then the sixth year natin, which is the last. So we could say na, sabi kasi dito, sa tapos mo na yung year 1 muna, saka pa mag-i-increase nung atin na sa gradient. So from this, we could say na meron tayong 5,000 dito. Dito is 10,000, okay? And then 15,000, 20, then 25. Okay? Pero sabi natin na it's not enough that you just add this, no? Kasi that will comprise yung buong 6 years, which is not actually the case. Kasi kailangan natin i-consider mo na yung parang mga annual natin na nakukuha. So, the only way that you can deal with this gradient is to add all of them. So, that is 5,000 plus 10,000 plus 15,000 and then plus 20,000 plus 25,000. And this gives you a total of 75,000. Okay? 75,000. And then, we take the average, so we divide this by 5. So, this gives you 15,000 per year. So, apparently, this 15,000 is an addition to your expenses. So, diba, this is your revenue, 175,000. And then, meron pa 100,000 usually na annual expenses. But then again, meron kang 15,000 coming from the gradient. So, with this, we have 175,000 minus 100,000 minus 15,000. That is equal to, times n, that is equal to 300,000. And this gives us a value of 5 years. Okay? So, this is yung ating simple payout period using yung idea natin na walang time value yung ating mga pera. No? And now we can continue solving for letter B. And in this problem, it asks us to determine what is the internal rate of return of the furnace. So, remember, if we use yung present worth natin, that is equal to 0. And in computing our IRR, we just have to equate all the revenues and then the expenditures itself so that we can determine our I. So, from the initial investment, we could say na 300,000 dito. Okay? So, nasa present siya. So, wala na tayong problema dyan. But then again, yung revenues natin are expected to be 175,000. So, from this, knowing na this is the investment and then yung expenses is 100,000. So, itong 175,000 dun siya sa kabilang side. So, ito, hayaan na lang natin siya na 300,000 and then we add yung ating other expenses dito. That's 100,000. Okay, and then we multiply this with the factor that will make this in present worth. So, that's 1 minus 1 plus I raised to negative 6 divided by I. Okay, and then we have another one which is the gradient. Now the gradient, we need to add this kasi this is also part of the expenditures. So we have 5,000 and then we have here yung ating 1 over I which is unknown, and then we have to multiply this with 1 plus I raised to n. So, ano ba yung n natin? So, remember, for this particular scenario, yung ating n would be equal to negative 16 kasi sa second year lang siya after the first end of the year siya nag-increase. So, tama lang na yun yung n. So, that would be negative or positive 6 as well. And then, minus 1. And then, we divide this by I. And then, minus 6. Okay? And then, we multiply this further in terms of 1 over 1 plus I raised to n. Okay? So, this is our formula for, siguro write natin ito na mas maganda. We have 1 over 1 plus I raised to n. Okay? And then, this should be closed bracket. Okay? This is all the expenses that we have that is equal to all the revenues that we can obtain. So, that's 175,000. We have to make sure now we convert this in terms of its annuity. So, using yung ating present worth factor. So, that is this expression. And then, ano pa ba yung meron dito? So, meron tayong salvage value na 20,000. So, unlike before na hindi natin siya sinasama ngayon, pwede natin siya isama kasi ito naman is more on finding our IRR. So, you're just finding the I. Okay, now this problem, kung mapansin nyo, hindi kasi yan natin kayang ilagay sa ating calculator. What you can do here is to try to iterate between these values kasi wala eh, hindi talaga yan kasya. So, you can try to perform yung inyong natutunan sa advanced math, which is you can do Newton-Raphson method, or kung mas mahirap, you can do regular fallacy, or any method na you can apply for this just to solve for your value of x kasi hindi siya kaya ng calculator. But if you try to check on the values of 8.76, so it should give you the same result as the other one dun sa kabilang side. So ang technical lang dyan is kapag sinubstitute nyo yung value na yun and then nakuha nyo yung same answer or same result dun sa kabila ng equation natin, then that should well probably be our answer dito sa ating expression, 'di ba? It should give you the correct answer din naman talaga. Now this should be 6 kasi hindi ko pala na-rewrite yung n, so that should be our answer. Again, this is the gradient formula, yung 1 over I tapos 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 all over I minus n, and then quantity 1 over 1 plus I raised to n. So yung n natin is 6 kasi that is the period wherein nag-end na yung ating payment or study period natin, diba? So, now going back, so since di siya kasya sa calculator, I've used the solver in Excel. So, yan, kinonstrain ko lang yung equal yung magiging value nito with this. So, I was able to determine yung exact to the value to how many decimal point is that. So, 0.087577. So, we could write yung mas accurate na value, that is 8.7577%, or basically 0.0876. So, yun yung pinaka-exact value. You can always use your Excel or you could use MATLAB kung saan yung mas preferred na mas madali, no? Kasi you have plenty of options para naman ma-solve to kasi sometimes hindi nga siya kasya sa calculator, so you can use this para ma-solve. Nag-ano lang ako dyan, nag-goal seek lang ako. I mean, solver, tapos nag-constraint lang ako na dapat equal yung magiging dalawa. So, yun for this, and I think I can now proceed to the next discussion, which is all about the BC ratio. So, close na siguro natin tong Excel.